Released in 2006, Shift Happens was one of the first films ever to go viral on YouTube and explains the concepts of exponential change. The world that we live in changing at such a fast rate that we can barely begin to predict what next year will look like, yet alone the future. What the programme does is it makes the observation that Britain was the world's most powerful and successful country in 1900, and yet by 2006, although powerful, Britain's position in the world has declined and other countries have taken its place. So the programme starts by looking at birth rate and how the birth rate in the world is dominated by India and China. It then explains how Britain's position has changed in the world, and that Britain's position, although the legacy of it is still there with the English language, by today, India and China have more English speakers than Britain has. To that end then, if Britain is no longer the predominant English-speaking country in the world nor the most powerful, what effect will it have on our own children's lives in our own country? Then moving on, we look at the amount of time that we have for leisure and how that has dominated our lives. And then we get to thinking about wows. If all of these things have taken place, which one to the students is the biggest wow? Moving on then, the development of the internet and how it evolved into the World Wide Web and then evolved further into social media, getting them to think about the impact of all of that change. To the second half of the sheet, how the language has changed over the last 200 years since the time of Shakespeare. Words that children use today that their parents won't have used of. Then again, back to education and employment, and how the world is going to change when our own children have to compete against all these other children from other parts of the world that now speak English and can compete on a level playing field because they too have access to the internet. Now, I designed this particular worksheet in order to introduce the Industrial Revolution, but equally it could introduce the 20th century and all the changes that have taken place there, and students are asked to analyse a scene from 1890 and contemplate under these headings how things would have changed or would have stayed the same, and then maybe to have an opinion on whether or not the changes are for both good or bad.